Negotiation is where leadership becomes visible under pressure. It reveals not only what we want, but how we choose to achieve it. At its core, leadership reflects how we think, act, and live across business, work, and life. And in the workplace, performance leadership is about aligning people, purpose, and processes to consistently achieve meaningful results. It emanates from within and manifests itself outward. Now, we talk about performance leadership because it follows my life experiences for 18 years in government at the executive level, to owning my own consulting and training business for over 45 years, all given to working with leaders from all levels of government, private companies, and nonprofit sectors. Hello, folks. I'm Richard Fontenay, and I'll be your host today. If you are new to this podcast, welcome, and if you are returning, a heartfelt welcome back. Now, before we begin, I invite you to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And thank you for doing so. Although this podcast focuses on the traditional workplace, remember, we are all called to lead in some way, whether or not we have a formal leadership position. Today, we're going to explore breakthrough rather than win-win. Winning without damaging relationships. Now, why is this topic essential to performance leadership? Well, because performance depends on alignment, and alignment depends on communication, and communication often reaches its most important test during negotiations. Many people think negotiation is about getting the best deal. Effective leaders understand that negotiation is about creating the best outcome while preserving trust. The strongest agreements are not built on pressure, they are built on understanding. Now, many of you know I offer several strategies in these conversations, and today is no different. And our strategy today focuses on initiating a breakthrough process. So strategy number one is to shift from positions to interests. And what does that mean? Well, positions are what people say they want. Interests are the reasons behind those positions. When leaders focus only on positions, conversations become rigid. For instance, when leaders explore interests, possibilities begin to emerge. A manager may ask for a larger budget. The deeper interest may be improving service quality. And once the interest is clear, many solutions then become available. Strategy 2 is to separate people from the problem. Now, workplace disagreements often become personal. When that happens, attention shifts away from solving problems. Strong leaders maintain respect for people while addressing problems directly. They challenge ideas without attacking individuals, and that fosters a psychological safety and encourages collaboration. Strategy 3 is to ask better questions. Questions uncover information, and questions reduce assumptions, and questions invite participation. Instead of asking why someone is resisting, ask what concern remains unresolved. And instead of asking who is responsible, ask what process can be improved. Better questions produce better outcomes. Strategy 4 is to slow down critical moments. Pressure can tempt leaders to rush, yet many negotiations fail because people react before they understand. And taking time to reflect allows emotions to settle and gives us time to think about how we can improve a situation. Patience becomes a competitive advantage. Strategy 5 is to pursue breakthrough thinking. Now, strategy 5 is the biggie in my books. Traditional negotiation asks what each side will give up. And breakthrough negotiation, however, asks what new value or approach can be created. And this mindset shifts conversations to innovation and complementarity. Now, what do you think of these 5 strategies? Shift positions to interests, separate people from problems, ask better questions, slow down critical moments, and pursue breakthrough solutions. Are they doable? Can you implement them as you go about your work? Let me know in the comments below. I would really like to hear from you. Now, before we go on, consider this story from a workplace somewhere in Canada. A sales team and an operations team were locked in conflict. Sales want flexibility. Operations wanted consistency. And meetings became tense and unproductive. Eventually, a leader asked a simple question. What are both teams trying to protect? Now, after discussion, both groups agreed they wanted customer trust. And once they focused on a shared objective, they designed a process that improved their customer service. The conflict did not disappear overnight, but the relationship improved because the conversation really changed. Leadership stories often follow a similar pattern. Progress occurs when people move from defending positions to exploring possibilities. The breakthrough begins when individuals stop asking how they can win and start asking how everyone can move forward. In my experience, negotiation happens every day in our workplaces. Leaders may not call it negotiation, but that is really what's going on. For instance, supervisors negotiate priorities. Employees negotiate workloads. Departments negotiate resources. And executives negotiate strategy. And in the process, the successful organizations do not eliminate disagreement. They develop the skills to navigate it constructively. Now, there is also a personal side to negotiation. Family conversations, community projects, and volunteer organizations all require negotiation. The principles remain remarkably consistent. Listen carefully, respect differences, clarify interests, explore options, and protect relationships. One lesson I've learned throughout my career is that trust is often the hidden currency of negotiation. People may discuss numbers, schedules, responsibilities, and expectations, but trust determines whether agreements endure. And without trust, even good agreements struggle. And with trust, difficult challenges become manageable. Performance leadership requires leaders to think beyond immediate outcomes. It asks leaders to consider long-term consequences. Winning a negotiation today is not enough if relationships are damaged tomorrow. Remember, sustainable success requires both results and relationships. Now, as you reflect on your leadership, Consider a current negotiation that you may be facing. It may involve a colleague, a customer, a supplier, a team member, or a family member. Ask yourself, what interests are driving the conversation? Or what assumptions may be limiting progress? Or what breakthrough outcome might be possible beyond the options currently under discussion? Great negotiators are not necessarily the most persuasive speakers, but they are often the most attentive listeners. They notice patterns, recognize concerns, and create space for ideas. They understand that leadership is not about dominating conversations. It's about guiding conversations toward productive outcomes. Another practical technique is to summarize what you hear before presenting your view. Now, this simple habit reduces misunderstandings and demonstrates respect. People are more willing to listen when they feel understood. Effective negotiators also prepare thoroughly. Preparation includes gathering facts, identifying objectives, understanding stakeholders, and anticipating concerns. Preparation builds confidence and reduces unnecessary conflict. Today, we are witnessing a rupture, to use a Mark Carney word, in our workplaces. We are facing hybrid work, shifting technology with the advent of AI, shifting expectations, and economic pressures, all of which create new challenges. And these challenges make negotiation skills even more important. Leaders must navigate complexity while maintaining clarity and trust. Breakthrough negotiation does not mean avoiding difficult conversations. It means approaching them with purpose and discipline. It means seeking solutions without sacrificing relationships. And it means recognizing that leadership is most clearly demonstrated when differences arise. Now, this week, identify one conversation that could benefit from a breakthrough approach. Enter it with curiosity. Use the techniques outlined in this conversation. And ask better questions. Listen carefully. Focus on interests. Explore possibilities. Then observe how the conversation changes. Now, bring this podcast into your next conversation, meeting, or coaching moment. And remember, leadership is practiced one interaction at a time, and sustainable excellence is built in rhythms and not marathons. Now, if this conversation resonated with you, please subscribe, like, and refer to a friend. And thank you for doing so. Oh, and there's just one more thing. The learning lens. The learning lens is something new that I have included at the end of each episode. So from my perspective, the key insight was that breakthrough negotiation creates value rather than merely dividing it. And from your perspective, what was your key insight? From my perspective, what worked well? Well, I think the discussion connected practical negotiation strategies to real workplace applications. Are you of the same opinion? And if not, how would you improve it? A further point to consider, where might you be protecting a position rather than exploring an interest? And what was your takeaway? Well, my takeaway was leadership grows stronger when negotiation strengthens both outcomes and relationships. What do you think of that one? Well, that's it for today, folks. Join me next week when we turn our attention to another Coaching Talks, Delegation and Empowering Others, a podcast that I don't think you want to miss. See you then. Bye now.